The gym was buzzing, sneakers squeaking on the mats, the pop of gloves hitting pads, laughter spilling through the air. Then, out of nowhere, a cocky black belt smirked at the quiet black janitor. "Spar for fun," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Phones shot up, the crowd grinned, ready for an easy show. But the moment their gloves touched, boom, the energy snapped. Smiles froze, eyes widened, and in a single, shocking moment, the crowd fell silent. What happened inside that ring, no one in that gym could have predicted. The black janitor's name was Marcus. Most people at the gym barely noticed him beyond the quiet nod he'd give while mopping sweat off the floor. He was in his late 30s, lean but not flashy, always in faded sneakers and a plain t-shirt. No one knew much about him, just that he worked long hours, kept to himself, and never talked back when people made little jokes at his expense. The black belt, on the other hand, was a completely different story. Dylan, mid-20s, chiseled physique, loud personality, was a local tournament winner who loved being the center of attention. He thrived on the oohs and ahs whenever he landed a flashy kick. For him, sparring was just another stage. That afternoon, the gym was packed. Music thumped faintly from a speaker, gloves smacked against heavy bags, and chatter filled the air. Marcus had just finished wiping down the mats when Dylan called out from across the room. "Hey Marcus," he said, a grin stretching across his face. "How about you and me, just for fun?" The room perked up. Some chuckled under their breath. Others reached for their phones. To them, this was about to be a light-hearted mismatch, a little show before the real training resumed. Marcus hesitated, glancing around at the sea of smirks. He set the mop aside slowly. "All right," he said quietly. "No bravado, no jokes, just a calm acceptance." They stepped onto the mat. The coach raised an eyebrow, but didn't stop it. Maybe he, too, wanted to see the spectacle. The two men touched gloves, and for a brief moment, the air seemed to still. No one realized that in the next few seconds, everything they thought they knew about Marcus and about this fight was about to change. The first few seconds were exactly what the crowd expected. Dylan danced lightly on his feet, his stance wide, eyes locked on Marcus. He threw a playful jab, testing the waters, then followed it with a smirk. Marcus didn't react, no flinch. No grin, just a quiet focus. "Come on, loosen up," Dylan taunted, circling around him. Another jab, a quick leg kick. Still, Marcus barely moved. He simply shifted his weight, watching. The onlookers chuckled. A few whispered, "This is gonna be over in a minute." Someone in the back started recording in slow motion, already anticipating Dylan's finisher. But then Dylan stepped in with a harder strike, a clean right cross aimed at Marcus's head. In that split second, Marcus's demeanor changed. His shoulders dropped, his eyes narrowed, and his body flowed in a way that didn't belong to someone who'd never fought before. The punch never landed. Marcus slipped to the side with effortless precision, pivoting on his back foot. Before Dylan could reset, Marcus's left hand tapped him lightly on the chin, not a heavy blow, but perfectly placed. Dylan blinked, confused, and took a step back. "Okay, lucky shot," Dylan muttered, shaking it off. He came in faster, trying a combination jab, hook, body shot. Marcus's movements were different now. Calm, calculated, almost practiced. He blocked one strike, deflected another, and weaved under the hook so smoothly that Dylan's glove cut through empty air. The laughter in the room began to fade. The sound of gloves hitting pads in the background stopped as other fighters paused to watch. Phones were no longer recording for jokes, they were recording for proof. Dylan's breathing grew heavier. He lunged with a spinning back kick, his signature move, but Marcus read it before it even started. He stepped inside the arc, tapped Dylan's supporting leg with a sharp low kick, and the black belt stumbled. The crowd gasped. Now it was different. Marcus pressed forward, not with wild aggression, but with precise, controlled attacks. A jab that snapped Dylan's head back. A quick slip into a body shot that forced the air from his lungs. Another low kick that wobbled his stance. The coach, who had been leaning casually against the wall, was now standing upright, arms crossed, eyes narrowed. This wasn't a lucky streak. This was skill. Serious skill. Dylan tried to rally, pushing Marcus back with a flurry of strikes, but Marcus's defense was like a wall. Every punch missed by inches. Every kick met with a block or a sidestep. Marcus wasn't just surviving, he was dismantling Dylan, piece by piece. The crowd was silent now, except for the sharp sounds of leather hitting flesh and Dylan's labored breathing. The janitor was no longer invisible. He was commanding the room, and Dylan was running out of options. The final minute felt like it was unfolding in slow motion. Dylan, drenched in sweat, charged forward with one last desperate attempt, a looping right hook meant to end it. Marcus slipped under it effortlessly and stepped in close, so close that Dylan couldn't throw another strike. Then, in one smooth motion, Marcus hooked an arm around Dylan's shoulder and swept his legs out from under him. The black belt hit the mat with a thud that echoed across the gym. Gasps erupted from the crowd. Marcus didn't follow up with punches. He didn't need to. Instead, he stepped back, giving Dylan space to rise. The respect in that gesture was unmistakable, the kind you give an opponent you've already beaten. But Dylan's pride wouldn't let go. He scrambled to his feet, panting hard, and charged again. Marcus sidestepped, spun, and in a single fluid movement, executed a perfectly timed counter, a spinning back kick to the midsection. The impact knocked Dylan off balance and sent him sprawling backward onto the mat for the second time. This time, he stayed down for a moment, clutching his ribs, staring at the ceiling as if trying to process what had just happened. The room was dead silent. You could hear the faint hum of the air conditioner and the distant traffic outside. Every pair of eyes was locked on Marcus, the man they thought they knew, the man who had just dismantled a black belt in front of everyone. Marcus walked over, extended a hand, and helped Dylan up. His voice was calm, almost soft. "Thanks for the spar. No bragging, no taunting, just quiet dignity." Dylan nodded, still catching his breath. For the first time all afternoon, there was no arrogance in his eyes, only respect. The crowd didn't cheer. They didn't need to. The silence said everything. Word of the match spread beyond the gym within hours. The video, shaky, recorded from 3 different phones, racked up thousands of views online. Comments flooded in. "Who is this guy?" "That's years of training right there." Never judge someone by their job. It turned out Marcus wasn't just a janitor. Years ago, he had been a competitive fighter, even winning regional titles, until an injury and family responsibilities pulled him away from the sport. The gym work was just a job, a way to keep food on the table, but the skills, those never faded. In that short sparring session, Marcus hadn't just beaten Dylan. He had shattered an assumption that worth is tied to appearance, job title, or social standing. Dylan, to his credit, approached Marcus the next day and apologized. He admitted he'd underestimated him, and more importantly, that he judged him without knowing his story. The next week, Dylan and Marcus trained together. No cameras, no crowd, just 2 fighters sharing respect. And the people who had witnessed that match, they walked away with a lesson they wouldn't forget. You never truly know a person's strength, not until the moment they decide to show it.